Unilever USA, CEO Personal Care North America. In 2019, A.C. Eggleston Bracey was instrumental in bringing awareness of the Crown movement. She partnered with OWN and the National Urban League for a star-studded event that both illustrated the network's unwavering commitment to celebrating stories that reflect their audience and also served as a platform to highlight the important legislation that protects against discrimination of natural and protective hairstyles associated with the race now widely known as the Crown Act. Tracee Ellis Ross is an award-winning actress and producer. Best known for her roles in ABC's award-winning comedy series Blackish and Girlfriends. For her role as Rainbow Johnson in Blackish, as a comedic leading actress, Rose won the Golden Globe Award in 2017, as well as 9 NAACP awards. She was nominated for 5 Emmys and 2 Critics' Choice Awards. Ross is the CEO and founder of Pattern, an award-winning hair care brand she launched in 2019 for the curly, coily, and tight-textured masses. Ross executive produces and narrates The Hair Tales, a docuseries about Black women, beauty, and identity through the distinctive lens of Black hair. It will debut on the Oprah Winfrey Network's cable channel and Hulu on October 22nd. She is a woman who handles business. Okay.
Yes.
She's a woman who handles business in front of the camera. We adore her for everything she does for the culture. Please welcome the dynamic Tracee Ellis Ross.
Bravo! I'm a Spanx showing.
Love the voice of God.
The voice of God. Thank you, voice of God.
We're so happy to be here, but first, a very warm welcome to the Hair Tales Clips and Conversations. It's brought to you by Oprah Winfrey Network and Disney's Onyx Collective. So this is executive produced by Oprah Winfrey and yours here, truly, Tracee Ellis Ross and Michaela Angela Davis. Hair Tales is an intimate and intentional docuseries focused on the parallel journeys of Black women that we've had with our hair and with ourselves, ultimately all towards self-love. By centering the stories on Black hair and what it means to be a Black woman in this country, Tracee will take our viewers on a dynamic journey that documents not only how her hair has been part of every Black woman's identity and personal expression throughout history, but also the radical impact that Black women have had on culture and humanity. All right, so the voice of God was going to do that, but hopefully I
came out too fast. I'm sorry. Can you guys hear us? Okay, there's like an echo. I want to make sure you could hear.
But first, Tracee, I just want to thank you for being here. You are so incredible, and it is such a pleasure to have this conversation with you. All of your accolades at the Voice of God talked about Emmy Award nomination, Golden Globe Awards, and more success. But who you really are is like a hair champion, a champion for all things authentic. And you were early on a supporter of the Crown Act. Today we have 18 states passed, but after 18 states, Massachusetts, but you were at the beginning, championing with your followers. And I just want to understand, why is hair so important to you? And how did you begin this journey? And how does that link to this film?
Well, I began the journey with myself, honestly, and my own identity. And I feel like I could chronicle my journey of self-acceptance through my journey with my hair, which I think so many of us could. And so as a child, I didn't know that I had to think about my hair. And then I got to those phases where I was looking to see myself outside of my family, and I didn't. And so it created this real disconnect for me. And my own personal journey kind of continued through there, and I know from my own experience that, especially for Black women, hair is a portal into our souls. Mm-hmm. There's a way that society, culturally, systemically, has relegated us to small spaces. And we've taken those spaces and filled them up with our wholeness, with our ingenuity and our incredibleness, and made our whole lives present. But we see how our authentic selves, how our hair grows out of our head is not accepted, and that's just another way to relegate our humanity. And so the combination of all those things really is at the center of my mission in general in life, is to help and be a part of creating a world where everybody can feel safe and express themselves, and most specifically with an eye towards Black women, where we can continue to expand our real estate, to own what we create, to have a stake in what we create. And I think the Crown Act, unfortunately, we're in a world where there has to be legislation to protect something like that. But it does, and so I have been a supporter. I have no idea if I answered your question.
You completely. and then some, but of course I have more for you.
Okay.
Because what you said, Crown is creating a respectful, open world for natural hair, and who you are is creating that respectful and open world for people, so I love that. And talk to me about the film and the docuseries and what you wanted to accomplish.
So, as I mentioned, what my own personal journey was, and it was mentioned by the Voice of God, but I also have a hair company that was 10 years in the making.
Yes.
Because I really didn't see, there were three things I didn't see in the world. I didn't see products that actually were made for us, that worked. I didn't see marketing. Marketing is based on telling you have a problem, and if you buy this thing, you're going to fix it. I disagree as a shopper. I feel that when I feel good, I spend the most. And I don't think that my hair is a problem. I just think that it needs the right products. So I wanted to change the paradigm of marketing and really flip it on its head and create a space where we could actively celebrate ourselves, and where we were the subjects and not the objects of our content.
I love that.
And so that had been my journey for so long. And then my relationship and friendship with Michaela Angela Davis, I had known her since I was 22 and came out of college. And she and I, over the years, all the years that we had been friends, were connected through these three things: style, justice, and joy. She had been out in the world doing these hair tales, these conceptual environments with people interacting. And she wanted to bring it to television. And so we together developed a television version, which is a 6-part docuseries that is an intimate and intentional, as you said, exploration of Black women through our hair, using the metaphor of hair for our humanity. And so we are, so often our experiences are decontextualized as women, as Black people. And this is an opportunity for us to see our experience in context with each other, to create a space where we can hear the stories that we all know. We all know what happens when we sit together. We have all the same, not everybody knows what this is. Not everybody knows what this is when you're trying to get your hair done. Holding your head, you know what I mean? Tender-headed, all these expressions that are ours, that have lived within our families and our communities with each other for so long, but find a place where we can tell our stories and bring them together beautifully anchored in joy. So each episode is centered around a notable person whose story you might know or not know, but we talk about it through hair. So Chica, Issa Rae, Marsai Martin, Ayanna Pressley, Oprah, just a couple people.
Just a couple. She's not named
people. I don't know if you know them. Let's put them together. We talked a little bit about hair. And then surrounded by people like you, academics and scholars, who can really help to anchor historically the context of so many of the conversations and the things that we all know so intimately and well. And then into the salon, that very special sacred place that all of us have found home for so many years, where there's some kikiing and conversation about these same subjects. And all together, you get a space where we get to see ourselves. And hopefully, this is a show that is about Black women for everyone. And when people don't understand that, I say, Beyonce. She's a Black woman. Everybody likes her. Yes? Everybody's interested. Yes? It's like this. So
it's perfect. So you guys want to see a little bit? Yeah. So without further ado, let's go to the next clip. Let's hear it for the beauty shop, right? It's Beautiful. The beauty shop in that clip shows the space that it holds for us. And I'd like to hear from you about the beauty shop, what it's meant for you, and maybe your first experience at the beauty shop.
I spent Saturdays at Joseph's. Joseph's on 50, I think it was on 59th. And did someone shout out for Joseph?
Yes,
Joseph. Saturdays at Joseph's, we would go, I would get my relaxer and then texturizer years later, but I don't know which was which, I was young. And I would sit for my roller set, and you would wait then for the, the fancy guy in the corner who was gonna do the big blowout. You had to wait hours on end. And I just remember for me, it was really it was where I was able to transform my hair into what I thought it was supposed to be accepted. And then I would spend the entire week trying to keep that hair that way. So by like Thursday, Friday, my hair was so tight in that ponytail. I would put the two barrettes, I liked a little middle part, the two barrettes, and then the tightest little ponytail you could get. And then I would put pink sponge rollers on the back ponytail bit,
the
so
pink
that those
sponge rollers.
yes, so the ends would stay in. Or my mom would wake up and put the stove on and do my edges. Or if we couldn't get there on Saturday, my mom or my grandma or someone would wet set me with the end papers. And those gosh dang, I used purple, the purple size. And I would wake up with a crook in my neck. Did not figure out how to sleep. When I was watching the episodes back, someone was saying there was a rolled towel. No one told me about the rolled towel. I woke up with a crook in my neck, and then my mom would blow me out in the morning. But so I had years, like so many of us, beating my hair into submission, frying my hair. I then spent years, I even whipped out a real clothing iron at one point. I learned what it meant for your hair. I did. I learned what it meant for your hair to fry, like you sizzle. And I was like, wow, it went from straight to curly again. But not the curly that it was originally. But what was talked about in the series that consistently was a theme that I loved connecting with, and it's always been my experience. I think like so many of us, even in the back when we were just talking, there's a way that we connect with each other, and this is one of the portals through which we connect. Those people in the salons or throughout our lives that become, and Issa used this term, our hair believers, are so important. Those that hold that sacred space with us in a world that systemically and historically has told us so many lies about ourselves, lies about our beauty, lies about our worth, lies about our identity that are often covered up in laws and microaggressions and can I touch it? And all these different things that result in the shame that we hold unconsciously that we can share with each other, but not necessarily in our world, how we have to constantly pretzel and navigate our professionalism and how we are seen. And the salon becomes a place where we are held. And we don't have to pretend all that stuff isn't happening and find a way to present ourselves to the world that we feel comfortable with, that can make all the rest of the stuff happen in our lives, either to make us feel as beautiful as we want to feel or as professional as the world says we need to be or whatever those things are. And so the salon holds a very particular place for us as Black women. And the thing that's been so beautiful to me exploring it is to get to hear all the different versions of that through different faces and voices and textures is a beautiful beautiful thing.
And that's one of the things that's so beautiful about the film are all of the different textures, all the diversity. Our hair is not one thing. It's so dynamic, and the film does it so well. So let's have a look at the next clip. That's one of my favorite clips, where Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley of Massachusetts is, who is holding space to be authentically who she is as a representative, as a congresswoman. She also sponsored the federal bill that passed in the House of Representatives. That's Ayanna. So I'd love to hear from you what it was like talking to her and why you think it's so important for us to show up in places like that with all of us, our hair and who we are.
I mean, the thing about Ayanna is she is so embodied. She is so herself. And it creates an invitation for everyone who sees her. And sitting in front of her is that times 10, but it's also the same. From every moment I've heard her speak, from the Senegalese twist to her sharing her story about alopecia, and how she so transparently opened herself to allow that to be an entrance into even more of her being herself. And she has taken her identity and channeled it into purpose in such an important way for all of us, because she used a term that I had never heard called healing legislation. And I was like, those are two words that in my mind do not go together. And it kind of made me weep. And to think of a woman who, when you hear her story, and you hear her story through her hair, which is really hearing her story through her blackness, through the way she was raised and her mother, and where it is that she found her identity and her sense of self and her sense of purpose, it gives me my own courage to find that within myself and to understand. And also, I don't know about you guys, but so often politics feels so far away from me. I'm just like, I don't know what you're talking about. And somehow when Ayanna speaks, she's speaking my language. She's speaking to me. She's speaking in a way that I understand. And she also speaks about politics in a way that it is mine. And it must be mine. And it must be yours. And it must be ours. By the way, that voting PSA was incredible. That was really incredible. So again, I don't know if that answers your question.
It did. You said something earlier that she reminds me of, and it's our natural hair is the portal to our authentic selves or something like that. And she embodies that.
She really does.
And for you, I'm curious about when did you have a moment that you felt free to be your authentic self?
I have them all the time. I didn't have them growing up. I felt so tangled in understanding, and even just by what I'm about to say, that's why I was tangled, who I was supposed to be. And then I have spent years really trying to get comfortable in my skin. I think that's the reason someone like Ayanna is so incredible to me. She sits in who she is in a way that makes you more comfortable to sit in who you are. And I have now made a career out of being my authentic self, and now it feels weird when I'm not. This is a moment where I'm being me, and the truth is that I've discovered it is the easiest thing for me to be, but it takes a lot of courage. I spent many years after the work I did, knowing who I was, but not having the courage to be who I am. What about you?
Oh, what about me? She's turning the tables here. I've been in corporate America, and I've been in corporate America for 30 years, and I got a pep to my step when I finally shaved up my head. I shaved the perm back in '95, and it was freedom. And that's when my career started taking off. So once you go natural, it's more than your hair. You can't stop being yourself. So I can completely relate to what you're saying. And I see that for you and who you are. I mean, your success coming from being more and more and more of who you are through your hair, I think is beautiful.
Yeah.
And I think, the things like the Crown Act, it's why it's so important, because not everyone has that freedom.
Not everyone has that freedom. To make the choice.
And that's
to go
natural.
Thing. And, and I also say this to people, I am not an advocate for being natural. I'm an advocate for people knowing that they have a choice to make a choice for themselves. Because I think, and you know, I always say, what I want for people is that there is a space for you in the privacy of your home at some point, whenever that is, to honor your scalp and your hair. If you are somebody who wears wigs or weaves or braids or protective styles in those in-between moments, that you have a space that you create for yourself, whether it's in the privacy of your bathroom or your car or the back of your closet or wherever that is that you can find your privacy, that you can literally touch your head and know that it is yours and it is beautiful. And no matter how you need to adorn it to walk through the world or make choices about a color or a whatever, a texture that you want to wear this week, next week, or every day, that you know that you are beautiful and the way your hair grows out of your head is a gosh dang treasure.
And that you're welcome, not excluded. Beautiful. So let's have a look at the next clip, another diverse voice that I'd love to show you.
Chika. That conversation was beautiful.
Yeah. Chika is such a powerful voice. She's a rapper and a slam poet and just beautiful with words. And the insights, I never thought about the shampoo bottles. And it's right, you just take for granted the things that don't include us. And she named it. She labeled it.
She named it.
So talk to me about Chika and what you took away from her.
You know, I think that's, you have named one of the things that I hope that this series offers people is a name for some of the things that we haven't had names for, or just a, you know, Dr. Kimberly Crenshaw often talks about without a frame to hold things, without the context for them, it's hard to understand them. We understand them. But somehow I hope that this show allows us to see ourselves with a frame, a beautiful frame, and naming some of these things that we've taken for granted and have bumped up against and make our way around, but know that we are together in that journey. Chika is an alchemist, and she is stunning. And we had a really beautiful conversation about hair and identity and how our physical appearance, the world makes a decision about you before you. And particularly in her case, with the intersection of so many of her particular physical characteristics, her own self-expression and identity wasn't given a chance to discover itself. People were telling her who she was before she had a chance to decide, let alone, and what she said, which blew my mind, even think about it. She wasn't thinking about some of those things, and it was already being told of her. And what I shared with you was that Chika is this force. I mean, the way she uses language is extraordinary. It is poetic, it is artistic, it is beautiful, it is descriptive, and it's descriptive of things that are so hard to describe. That's what was extraordinary to me and is extraordinary to me about her. And so when I met her, I was expecting a force, you know, and she is this love. She is a gentle love, which explains why she's able to language things that seem unlanguageable. She's so sensitive. And there's introspective, beautiful.
Yes,
that's the other one. The other one I didn't say is Chloe. Chloe Bailey is the sixth. How could I forget? And she also is such a gentle, lovely young lady. I mean, I've met her and known her, but to sit in conversation, and to the younger generation, you know, Marseille, Chika, and Chloe, so not in that order. So Marseille, then Chloe, then Chika, I think, in age range. To experience the difference generationally And the theme for Marseille's episode is freedom's air. And I know Marseille incredibly well. I've watched her grow up. But to sit with these three young women and to feel how the work of our generation has opened up a space for their freedom is extraordinary.
So say more about that. So what do you see as unique or common in the younger generation, Gen Zs, millennials?
I see that they don't think, these young women, I'm not saying all of that generation, these young women have a power in how they wear themselves. In a way that, especially like with Marseille, I mean, when I was that age, I just told you guys a second ago, I was tangled. You know, I was busy trying to figure out who I was supposed to be, not telling you who I was. She is telling you in every choice she makes who she is. And it's beautiful. I mean, I've been witnessing it since she was 8 and 9 years old. And I have watched her become the Marseille that she was. But now, she's a force, you know. And Chloe, even, you know, I mean, I remember when Solange came on the scene. You know, when I was growing up, I'm turning 50 this year, so when I was growing up, I mean, I could name on my hand the 5 women that wore their hair naturally on TV. It's not to say that it wasn't in the, you know, around us everywhere, but there was, you know, Cree Summer, Rae Dawn Chong, Nena Cherry, Lisa Bonet, like, you know, I mean, that was it. Did I say Lisa Nicole Carson? There were like 5. And you know, that were on TV in those spaces. I know I'm talking too much. Am I talking too much?
No, you're good. I'm keeping us on track. I'm looking back. We like your talking, Tracy. We like her talking, right? Yeah.
Okay.
That's what they're here for.
Sorry, okay. I mean, I can't see all your faces, but these in the front, I'm looking at you guys for I'm like, right? Do you know what I mean? Right? See? That part. Okay. When I was growing up, there were just those few. You didn't see a newscaster with natural texture. You know, that never happened, you know? So there were these few outliers that existed in, you know, of course, Cicely Tyson. Like, we can all name the same ones. You know what I mean? Like, that's what there was. So these young women have all these examples, and so their choices. And I remember when Solange came on the scene, and I had worn my hair natural, and during Girlfriends, I wore cornrows and like all those kinds of things. And I was the only one on Girlfriends. And I remember I went to Essence Fest before social media, and a woman walked up to me and she said, "Girl, why don't you do your hair?"
Oh, see that?
And I said, "What do you mean?" And she's like, "You're on TV. The least you could do is represent us." And I said, well, this is the way God had it come out of my head.
Well, all right.
So, but you know, and also, by the way, she was probably thinking she was protecting me. You know, respectability politics comes from somewhere, right? So generationally, that was life or death. That was us really making sure that you weren't in a position that would put you in danger. You know, whether that's what's being translated or she knows that that's what's happening, right? So we're all sort of navigating this experience that is no joke, you know, that each of us get to navigate differently, but we have each other sometimes to sort of protect and look out for each other. But so when Solange came on the scene, I was just like, I don't want to wear my hair like that.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I was like...
But that's what it takes.
That's what it takes. I'm like, I want to do that, you know?
Right.
And play and change it now. And, you know, look at me today.
Right, exactly. Do them. Show
Look
them.
at Navasha. Come on. Look at Navasha did. What? How you doing? Ah!
Yes. So that matters.
It matters.
Because it causes more people to see that is professional.
Yes,
you are
it is.
represented.
Yes.
So we have another clip that I want to show you that is super fun. So let's have a look. What a hoot. We laugh not to cry because we've had those moments, right? So what was it like? Tell us, what was it like to interview the Queen, Oprah?
Well, I should backtrack and say, Michaela and I, when we were out pitching this series, not everyone got it. Not everyone was like, oh my God, that sounds like the most amazing thing. Most people were like, huh. So it's about black women. and hair. Huh. But we went to Oprah, and she got it because, you know, she's got the stories too. She has the experience. I mean, that's a funny one. She shares so beautifully and so deeply in a way that we actually don't always get to see Oprah. And so to executive produce with Oprah and to bring a story like this forward where you are not having, as Black people, we spend so much emotional cash explaining who we are and trying to create context and explain our worthiness and why it's a great story, why it's interesting, why it's sexy, why it's pretty, why it's great. And you waste so much time when you could be creating something, you know? Or we spend so much time being safe, trying to be safe. You know, I think of, it reminds me of how much time women, you know, culture tells us we're supposed to be looking at the scale. We could be making up a new idea, a new business. So busy trying to do something, I don't know, so that people think we're acceptable. Get out of here. So we got to spend time creating and imagining what would we want this to be. And then I got to sit down and I got to interview Oprah. Shut up! What are you talking about? It was ridiculous. I called my mom when I left. I was like, Mama, I just interviewed Oprah. She was like, I don't understand. I was like, Oprah, I interviewed Oprah about her hair. She was like, you guys just talked about hair? I was like, hair! We just talked about hair! It was amazing. And it was a beautiful conversation because, you know, we know Oprah, but people don't usually get to interview Oprah. We know Oprah through how she talks to others, and she has shared so much of herself for all these years. And so to be able to sit with, and you know, I love, one of my favorite things in life is listening to people. I know I love to talk, we can tell, right? Okay. But I'm one of those people that just, I love to listen and I love people. And to be able to think of the right questions, you know, like one of the questions I asked Ayanna, I said, can you teach me about your freedom?
Ooh.
Teach me about your beauty. Like, tell me. What is this, you know? And so to be able to think of those questions and to ask Oprah why was this, why of all these projects, is this a project you would want to produce? Why are you allowing me to sit down with you, Oprah, to ask you questions?
And what did she say, or do we have to watch the docuseries?
You'll have to watch. But she, and you know, a girl knows a cliffhanger. But oh my God, if you guys follow me on Instagram, that was totally Madame Yver. I'm so sorry. Oh my God. You're a dear. Sorry. So it was just a really intimate conversation, and we went back. We went back to the early years that we haven't heard a lot about in a long time, that gave birth to Oprah, that gave... that was her journey, that sort of defined who she was. One of the things that I cannot forget that she said was, you know, she started in the church, and it was where she fell in love with language. That was one of the things I asked her, where she fell in love with the power of language and how it's utilized to engage. And I just can hear her voice in my head because she, hallelujah, hallelujah. And it's you know, to a woman that seems larger than life, that seems the queen, to experience and to have moments where she is me and I am her and we are her and we are all, right, is really beautiful. And the reminder of why she is who she is and where it comes from and what's at the heart of that.
Beautiful. And it's hard to ask this question, but tell me, of the whole docuseries, what is one of your favorite moments in all of it? Asking you to pick your favorite child.
It's very difficult. Honestly, for me, it was the executive producer process.
Okay.
I am learning how to be that, the same way I am learning how to be a CEO. I love using my mind in this way, but I love the exercise and experience of gathering, of bringing, you know, community is at the center of everything that I do. And because none of us does it alone. Mm-hmm. And so the idea that you get to curate and gather an incredible group of artists and Black women to tell our own story was magical. Michelle Ndegeocello did our music.
Beautiful.
Micheline Thomas does our interstitials, like interstitials. She makes art. You know what I mean? There's so many players, our DP, our lighting director, these beautiful Black people who were all gathered together to tell our story. Was my favorite part of the experience.
Oh, I love that, the creating it all and bringing people together. So let's hear it for the amazing Tracee Ellis Ross.
And, I mean, how could I forget that you're in it? You're in our docuseries, dropping gems and pearls all over the place. So you are a part of that gathering.
Oh, so happy to be a part of
beautiful.
it. Thank you.
This is amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Just wonderful. We're so excited about this and all that you do.
Thank
you.
you.
And we have another special guest I'd like to bring out and introduce, which is the president of the OWN Network. So let's bring out Tina Perry. Tina.
Good evening. It's so great to be here with all of you tonight. This is a beautiful crowd. And first of all, I want to start off, can we please give another big round of applause for Tracee and AC for this beautiful, beautiful conversation. I could have sat here and listened to them talk for another hour. I know you feel the same way. I want to give out a few thank yous. First of all, to Unilever and Dove. They have been a wonderful partner to OWN and a wonderful partner with us on this project, and I just want to say thank you. Every time we work together, we do something special, and we did it again with Hair Tales. I'd like to give a special thanks to Hulu and the Onyx Collective. They were our co-producing partner. Big round of applause. It was wonderful to get to work with them, and I want to give a special, special shout out to Tara Duncan. She's not here tonight. But Tara was incredibly instrumental for not only getting this off the ground with Tracee and team, but making sure OWN and Oprah were all a part of it. So thank you, Tara, wherever you are. I hope this reaches back to you. I also want to give a big thank you to Stacey and Floyd Rance, and I want to thank you. Thank you for 20 years. Thank you for putting in 20 years to birth this amazing festival. It is an incredible privilege for OWN to get to be a part of this. What you have done for storytelling and for the culture is just unspeakable. I can't even find words to describe. And I just want to give them one more round of applause because this is huge what they have built. It is huge. And lastly, I just want to thank all of you. I know what these weeks are at the festival. I know all the options you had tonight, the dinners, the parties, the other events, but you chose to be here with us. And I just want to say thank you for sitting, listening to this wonderful and thoughtful conversation. And I hope that all of you will check out Hair Tales this October on OWN and on Hulu. I promise you, you will not be disappointed. It's an amazing experience. Thank you.